All right, get ready because today we are diving deep into the Tao Te Ching,
Oh,
one of the most influential texts in Eastern philosophy.
yeah.
And it's jam-packed with wisdom that's still relevant even thousands of years later.
It really
It's
is.
like ancient life hacks, but in this beautiful cryptic poetry.
You got it. And it's attributed to Lao Tzu, a sage who's kind of shrouded in mystery.
Yeah.
But what's for sure is that it's 81 short chapters.
Right.
Each one is like a potent dose of wisdom.
Yeah. So what's our mission today?
Wow.
We're going to try to crack the code of the Tao,
Yeah.
this elusive force that Lao Tzu says governs the entire universe.
Mhm.
We're going to explore its paradoxes, its practical wisdom.
Yes.
See if we can't all walk away a little bit wiser, a little more in tune with the flow of
A
life.
little more Taoist.
A little more Taoist, right. And a good place to start is with that sense of mystery.
Yeah.
The Tao Te Ching opens with these really famous lines. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. Okay, first time I read that, my brain did a total somersault.
Sure.
How do you even talk about something that you can't define or even name?
Yeah, it's like a challenge right from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Lao Tzu is saying, hey, language has its limits, right?
Okay.
Yeah, especially when we're trying to wrap our heads around ultimate reality.
Yeah.
Other cultures deal with this too.
Right.
Think about how people describe the divine.
Mhm.
Often it's more about feeling it than actually like putting a definition on it.
So how do we even approach this idea of the Tao if it's beyond words?
Mm, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I think it's about understanding that it's not something you can grasp with just your mind.
Okay.
It's something you experience in your life. It's about aligning yourself with that natural flow of the universe.
Okay.
And that's where Wu Wei comes in.
Oh, okay. There it is.
It's often translated as non-action or effortless action.
Right.
Sounds contradictory, I know,
Yeah.
but just stay with me.
I've always struggled with that one. Yeah. So is it about being passive?
Oh.
Just letting life happen to you? That doesn't sound super appealing.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Think of it more like being in the zone.
Okay.
That state where you're totally present.
Mm-hmm.
Actions just flowing effortlessly. Imagine like a skilled surfer.
Okay.
Riding a wave. They're not forcing anything.
Right.
They're in harmony with the power of the ocean, responding with just instinct and grace.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So it's not about sitting back and doing nothing.
Right.
It's about finding that sweet spot where your actions are aligned with this natural flow.
Yes,
I can see how that could be incredibly powerful.
exactly. And this whole idea of aligning with that natural flow is illustrated so well in Chapter 8,
Yes.
where Lao Tzu compares the supreme good, the highest ideal, to water.
Right. He talks about water nourishing everything without needing any recognition.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't fight obstacles. It just flows around them,
Yeah,
always taking the path of least resistance.
That's
It's
right.
pretty powerful.
that, my friend, is the essence of the Tao.
Okay.
It's about embodying those qualities of water.
Mm.
Humility, adaptability, resilience.
Right.
It's embracing this way of being that's fluid, yielding, but still incredibly powerful.
It's funny when you put it that way.
Yeah.
It makes me think about all the times I've tried to force things, tried to control every outcome.
Mm-hmm.
It rarely works out the way I planned it.
Right, because you're going against that natural flow. You're trying to
Yeah.
swim upstream instead of just going with the current.
Mm-hmm.
The Tao Te Ching is inviting us to let go of that struggle,
Okay.
embrace a more yielding approach.
Okay, but isn't there a danger in being too yielding?
Oh.
Like, what about standing up for what you believe in? What about taking charge when things need to get done?
Those are great questions.
Yeah.
And this is where things get really interesting because Lao Tzu doesn't shy away from paradoxes at all.
Oh, okay.
He embraces those.
Paradoxes. Okay, let's unpack that.
Let's do it. Oh, the Tao Te Ching is full of them.
Up.
Like in chapter 22, where Lao Tzu says, if you want to become whole, let yourself be partial.
Yeah.
If you want to become straight, let yourself be crooked.
Oh,
It's enough to make your head spin.
seriously. It's like, how can letting yourself be crooked lead to becoming straight? It's like he's turning conventional wisdom upside down.
It's a provocation, right?
Yeah.
A way to kind of shake us up out of our normal linear thinking.
Okay.
He's pointing to this deeper truth
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes the most direct path isn't a straight line.
Yeah.
It's about embracing flexibility and adaptability,
Okay.
even a little bit of crookedness to move through the complexities of life.
Okay, so how does that idea of embracing paradoxes, how does that play out in real life? Give me an example.
Let's take leadership.
Okay.
Chapter 36 says, if you want to shrink something, you must first allow it to expand.
Okay.
If you want to weaken something, you must first allow it to become strong. This goes against how we usually think about power and control, right? You're telling me, in like the corporate world,
Yeah.
it's all about like asserting dominance, taking charge.
Right, right.
But Lao Tzu's saying the opposite.
Yeah.
He's suggesting that true strength is in knowing when to step back,
Hey.
knowing when to allow things to just unfold naturally.
Mm-hmm.
It's about trusting the process,
Yeah.
trusting the people you lead.
That reminds me of something I read about Nelson Mandela.
Oh, yeah,
He was obviously a very powerful leader.
absolutely.
But the people who knew him said he had this incredible ability to listen,
Right.
to empower others.
Mhm.
It wasn't about him having all the answers.
That's such a perfect example.
Yeah.
Mandela just understood that true leadership isn't about wielding power over others.
Yeah.
It's about inspiring them, empowering them to reach their full potential.
Right.
It's a very Taoist approach.
Yeah, I'm starting to see how these, seemingly contradictory ideas can actually be quite practical.
Yeah.
So how can our listener apply this, like, less is more leadership style in their own life?
Yeah. Think about a time you were leading a project or
Yeah.
even just organizing something with friends.
Right.
Did you try to control every little detail? Or did you give people space to kind of, contribute their ideas and talents?
Oh, man. I am so guilty of being a control freak.
Really?
It's like, I have to be the one calling all the shots.
Right.
No wonder I end up so stressed out.
And how do you think people feel
Yeah.
when you're in that mode, around you?
Probably like they're walking on eggshells. Not exactly a recipe for like a happy and productive team.
Right. So next time you're in a leadership position,
Okay.
try taking a step back.
Yeah.
Trust the people around you.
Okay.
Give them the space to shine. You might be surprised
Right.
at the results.
It's funny, we've been talking about leadership in like a work context.
Yeah.
But this applies to so many areas of life, right? Like parenting,
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Constantly
trying to control my kids, make sure they don't mess up.
Mhm.
But maybe like a little more trust,
Yeah.
a little more letting go would be better for everyone.
Absolutely.
Wow.
The principles of the Tao Te Ching are universal.
Okay.
They can apply to our relationships, our careers, our creative pursuits, our own personal development,
Yeah.
It's about finding that balance
Right.
between effort and allowing things to just unfold naturally.
Okay, so we talked about wu-wei, paradoxes, leadership. It's a lot to digest, but
Right?
before we wrap up,
Yeah,
I have to ask you about something that's been on my mind.
sure.
The Tao Te Ching talks about living in harmony with the Tao, but, the world can be a pretty harsh place.
It can.
There's suffering, injustice, conflict.
Yeah.
How do we reconcile that with this idea of a harmonious universe?
That's a profound question.
Yeah.
And one that has challenged, philosophers
Right.
and spiritual seekers for centuries. The Tao Te Ching doesn't offer easy answers or pretend that life is always, perfect.
Right, so it's not about living in some blissful bubble where everything's great.
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's about developing a resilience and inner strength that allows us to navigate these challenges without losing our center.
Okay.
Chapter 76 says, a tree that is stiff and strong is most likely to be cut down. The hard and strong will fall. The soft and weak will overcome.
That's a powerful image.
Yeah.
It's like he's saying rigidity and resistance make us brittle, whereas flexibility and adaptability allow us to bend without breaking.
Exactly. And this goes back to the idea of water again.
Right.
It can carve through rock,
Yeah.
not with force,
Right.
but by its persistent yielding nature.
Yeah.
There's a deep wisdom in that.
So how do we cultivate that kind of resilience? How do we find that inner strength to face those inevitable storms of life?
Well, the Tao Te Ching points us to practices like meditation, mindfulness, cultivating a deep connection with nature. These practices help us quiet the mind,
Right.
connect with our inner wisdom,
Yeah.
tap into that wellspring of strength that's already within each of us.
I've been dabbling in meditation lately.
Really?
I have to say, there's something to it.
Yeah.
It helps me create a little space between myself and all the chaos of daily life.
That's the key. Creating that space
Yeah.
allows us to respond to challenges with more clarity and wisdom
Right.
rather than reacting out of fear or anxiety.
I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together, you know?
Yeah.
The Wu Wei, the paradoxes, the leadership principles, the emphasis on resilience.
Mhm.
It's all about cultivating a way of being that's in harmony with the Tao, with the natural flow of life.
You got it. And that, my friend, is the essence of the Tao Te Ching.
Okay.
It's not a set of rigid rules or anything.
Right.
It's a guidebook for living a life of balance, wisdom, and grace.
Yeah, it's like we've been given this like ancient roadmap to navigate the complexities of life.
Right.
But it's not about memorizing the route. It's
Yeah.
more about learning to read the terrain
Right.
and trusting our inner compass.
I love that. That's a beautiful way to put it.
Right.
And speaking of navigation,
Yeah.
I'm curious, how do you think the Tao Te Ching can help us navigate some of these bigger challenges we face in the world today?
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about political polarization,
Right.
social injustices, climate change,
Yeah.
issues that just feel so overwhelming.
Right. It's so easy to feel powerless
It is.
in the face of those things. Like our actions are just a drop in the ocean.
Right.
But the Tao Te Ching keeps taking me back to this idea of interconnectedness. Like
Right.
that image of the web of life.
Mhm.
Everything we do has a ripple effect outwards, you
It's
know? It affects the
physics.
whole...
And in a world that often feels so divided,
Yeah.
that message of interconnectedness just feels so important right now.
Yeah.
Chapter 49 says, "The sage has no interest of his own, but takes the interest of the people as his own."
Right.
That's a powerful call to action,
It is.
a reminder that true leadership is about serving the common good.
So it's like we're being asked to kind of step outside of our own self-interest.
Right.
Consider the well-being of the whole.
Yeah.
It's a big ask.
It is a big ask.
But I think it's that shift in perspective that we so desperately need.
I agree.
Yeah.
And it's not about denying our own needs or anything,
Right.
or becoming totally passive.
Yeah.
Remember, the Tao Te Ching is about that dynamic balance
Right.
between action and non-action,
Right.
between kind of asserting ourselves and yielding to the greater flow.
It's like that paradox we were talking about before.
Exactly.
Sometimes the best way to create change
Yeah.
is by letting go of control,
Mhm.
trusting the process.
Absolutely. And that trust,
Yeah.
the willingness to surrender to something bigger than ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
that can be a source of such strength and resilience.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the Tao Te Ching,
Yeah.
what's one piece of wisdom you want our listeners to take with them?
Ooh, that's a good one.
What's the key takeaway that can help them on their own life's journey?
I think it goes back to that opening verse we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao.
Right.
It's an invitation to go beyond just the words,
Yeah.
beyond the concepts,
Mm-hmm.
and experience the wisdom of the Tao Te Ching yourself in your own life.
Right.
Pay attention to those subtle signs,
Yeah.
the synchronicities,
Yeah.
those moments when you feel aligned with that natural flow.
Okay.
That's where the magic happens.
Beautiful thought to end on.
Yeah.
And for our listener, if you're feeling curious,
Yeah.
I encourage you to go and explore the Tao Te Ching for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's a gift that just keeps on giving,
It does.
offering this timeless wisdom
Yes.
that can guide us to a more balanced, harmonious,
Yes.
and ultimately a more fulfilling life. Until next time, may you find your path in harmony with the Tao Sun app.